Ultra Reddit presents, what was a sketchy cheap buy that ended up being one of your best purchases?
Before we begin, do us a favor by clicking that like button, and subscribe to our channel for more top Reddit stories every day.
I was traveling in Japan and needed nail clippers. All I could find is this cheap pink Hello Kitty grooming kit. These clippers are the best I ever owned. They have stayed sharp and functional for 20 years. I'm very protective of them. Everyone in the house knows, you don't touch Dad's pink Hello Kitty nail clippers. Seed packets from the dollar store. While in college my boyfriend and I were broke. Really broke, but I still wanted to do something to celebrate spring. We were getting a few cheap things at the dollar store when I noticed they were selling these seeds packets from a big old bin that you had to dig through. 4 for $1, no tax. I immediately begged to buy one despite our strict budget. Boyfriend was incredulous I'd want to buy sketchy seeds but dutifully handed me a quarter. I ended up picking out tomatoes. Well, we got home and I carefully placed about 3 seeds in washed out cans. I watered them and watched them sprout. I love tending to my little garden. I ended up with 3 beautiful huge tomato plants. It was a bumper crop, more than we could eat. I sold the extra produce to my classmates. Made like $25. Good seeds. Guy said there were a bunch of bricks in his backyard he wanted to get rid of. $5 for all of them if you'd come pick them up because they were larger than regular bricks and were very heavy. I grabbed a friend and headed out because I needed some cheap brick for the edging of my garden. Guy's house was across the river and in some really run-down looking neighborhood. Really glad I grabbed my friend at this point. We pull up and the guy is waiting outside, and he looks like he's 80 but I know he must have been a 35-year-old guy who just smoked 10 packs a day. So the guy takes us to his backyard and shows up the pile of bricks, which turn out to be 50+ antique Louisville fire bricks. So I look at the guy and tell him, I'll take half of them, and as payment I'll give you $20 and some advice. And of course the guy is looking at me like I'm an idiot, but he accepts my money and helps me and my friend load up about 30 bricks. After I close my truck and get in the car to drive off I tell him to Google the antique fire bricks and adjust his Craigslist listing. I went back to look at the listing a few days later, and he had changed the price from $5 for the whole pile to $5 per brick, which was the going rate at the time. Nowadays they go for $1.20/brick, best buy ever. I was traveling from a different city straight into work, where my uniform was a white shirt with a conspicuously black bra. Wasn't stopping home, so I did stop on the first corner store I found and bought a $5 white bra that looked roughly my size as they had nowhere to try them on. Just to wear one night. 10 tenths, comfiest bra I ever owned. Wore it every day of my life for about a year. It gave in at some point. It was still a $5 bra, but damn, I dream of the day when all my bras fit that well. I was giving these college-aged young women a Lyft ride. One asks how that Craigslist thing went so my ears perked up. The other says something like he complained it went back too far. Just don't put it back so far. Duh. Eventually I deduce they are talking about a recliner, which I've been looking for one for some time now. I interject and ask about it. Lady has a La-Z-Boy electric recliner she just wants $20 for. I'm like, listen, I know it's sketchy but if you've got Craigslist randos in your house, Lyft at least gave me a background check. We pull up, I end the ride, and follow these ladies into their house. I knew I wanted it as soon as I laid eyes on it. So, this college chick is helping me stuff a recliner into my backseat and all I can think is this is how Buffalo Bill kidnapped that girl in Silence of the Lambs. $20 for a recliner so lazy it reclines for me. The bra of mystery. First strike, I bought it from a grocery store. Second strike, it was marked down to $2, and plastered with stickers reading, final sale, no returns, we're not liable if this kills you, I'm sure there are people who love you, and the like. Third strike, upon ringing it through, the cashier did a double take at the screen, looked at me with great concern, and asked if I was sure I wanted to buy it. After failing to self-combust and send me straight to hell, it wound up being one of the nicest bras I ever had. Wore it for 2 years before the inevitable underwire tit shanking. I still wonder what they thought was wrong with it. I drive cars so old they all still have tape decks. I bought this fake cassette tape with a headphone-style plug that comes with it. You put the tape in the player just like it was a cassette and plug the jack into your phone and it uses the car's speaker system as an external speaker for the phone. I was so skeptical of it working because it was all of $5 and I've been using it at least 10 years and it works perfectly and beautifully. Plus bonus side eye every time I pull it out to use it with someone new in the car. I randomly found a wedding videographer online and booked him for a very affordable rate for my wedding assuming it wouldn't be very good quality. 2 weeks after the wedding, he emails me a high quality, well-edited video. He had a drone I hadn't noticed because he was outside of the venue getting B-roll with it before I even started getting ready for the big day. I was floored, and now I recommend him to everyone who ever plans to get married ever. Edit. He has definitely upped his prices since then. He did the videography for my wedding last summer, and rightfully so, because he does great work. We bought an Ellis Island boat tour in New York from one of the guys on the streets. We were lead into a van and treated extremely well, so we weren't immediately sketched out too bad. We don't know New York, so we ended up driving 20 minutes through Manhattan by 3 men to an apparently abandoned sketchy dock with no one there. That's when we were convinced we were being scammed or sold into human trafficking. Gave us a post-it note with a number, and they said to go around the abandoned factory to the pier, and they were waiting for us. So we took our naive tourists around the building alone, expecting nothing, and they would just pull off and scam us. Sure enough, we turned the corner and there was a big boat with a bunch of people, and it was legit. We had an amazing tour and a lot of fun with free food and drinks. So overall, great decision, but in hindsight we should have been murdered or at least scammed. Mobile edit. Yes, I rushed the story and misspelled a couple things. I'm leaving Neve, scammed, and all the others just for you guys. Need 14 days of water, non-perishable food, first aid kit and toilet paper for your entire family including pet. A plan for how family members get home or meet should something happen that makes cell towers inaccessible. 1. Nice to have map of local area, flora/fauna guide, battery backups or solar chargers. Third edit. It was Cenote's Casa Tortuga. Thank to you/Misty Gish for suggesting that it might be this one. Final edit. I must say, after looking in Street View, it has changed a bit from when I went. Maybe if the signs had been at the entrance when I was there, it would've looked more welcoming. Edit. Formatted on mobile. I went to Mexico a few years back with my family and it was our first time there. We only left the hotel once because it was so damn hot. On that day, after visiting an ancient temple, we decided to go to a cenote to swim and cool off. We arrived at the bus station and this kinda sketchy taxi driver approached us and asked where we wanted to go. My father mentioned a very popular cenote, but the taxi driver recommended a quieter place and said he'd do it for half price even though it was already dirt cheap. For some reason my father agreed, which I thought was mad, so me and my family got in his taxi and drove off. We were riding down the freeway when he starts indicating left. I see no road where he's indicating. We turn off onto a dirt track and into the jungle. For about 10 minutes we're getting deeper and deeper into the jungle until we reach a house. My father is told to get out and pay at this small shack, and the rest of us aren't allowed out of the car. 5 minutes pass and by this time we were freaking out in the car. I didn't really feel like getting kidnapped or anything, but my father returns and we continue into the jungle. Soon we reach a clearing with a few people smoking round a table and a couple with swimsuits on. Now I'm a bit more relaxed because there are other customers there. After getting changed, we have a short walk to this beautiful, crystal clear cenote with overhangs and plants hanging down. It was amazing. We got out and thought money well spent, but we were led on a tour around 4 other cenotes where we swam under bats hanging in caves and learned about the history of the cenotes. To top it off, I got to jump off a 10-feet drop into a pool where I could see the bottom about 20 feet below the surface. Best experience we had in Mexico, and I'd love to go back, but I don't think I've ever been so frightened as I was going down that deserted dirt road. Edit. Lots of people think they have been here or wanted to find it, so I wrote a description in a comment further down and will paste it here. I'd love to find out what it was called. I'll try to describe it as best I can to give you a better chance. It might not all be correct because it was a few years ago. A long, straightish dirt track led to a house on the right side and then continued to the main area. It was a sort of covered patio with lockers and changing room/toilets sort of behind it. The first cenote I went in was down some wooden steps that I think went straight into the water. It was a narrow and long cenote that was quite deep. It went through a cave with stalactites/stalagmites hanging from the ceiling. The second cenote was a horseshoe shape where you could jump in or walk down a ramp on the side. Might have been steps. You could swim into a cave where there were a few bats in the roof. I think there was another one after that, but I can't remember. Then the last one was a long thin lake/river that went in a curve to the left. To get to this one we had to walk along a dirt road for about 5 or 10 minutes. At the end of it was a larger pool area and there were some steps leading up to a jump off the edge to the left that was about 10 feet I think. I was in a market in Shanghai. One of those ones that attract foreigners with knockoffs of nice brands where you're supposed to haggle a bit with the store owner. Walking into an electronics store looking for a portable speaker, negotiated the store owner down over the JBL speaker that's basically the size of a thermos. I think she originally wanted 200 RMB, and I think I got it for 125. Exchange rate was about 6.50 RMB equals $1, so like $21. The owner went out back, got a blank white box and an envelope. Inside the box was a blank speaker without decals. Decals were in the envelope. She then proceeded to put the decals on the speaker in front of me using tweezers for precision. This was my first time in China, so it really caught me off guard. Speaker is amazing. Very loud, 6 to 8 hour battery life and perfect for storing in a cup holder. I mostly use it on a golf course, which is perfect. Edit, spelling.
Thank you for watching this fantastic story.